Okay, so as I was mentioning in the last video, we want to make this data in our class private. And then we could use some member functions to access this data. So going back to our plan, we had this member function set values and floor area. So those were our two member functions. I'm going to add them both into our program. Okay, so when I'm declaring them in the class, I don't need that to put furniture first. Okay, so I'm making the data private, but these member functions public because I need the main program to be able to call them. So here is my declaration. It just says that those functions exist and that we're going to use them. Okay, declaration. But I still have to define them. So as with all my other function definitions, I'm going to put them after the main program. Okay, so down here, don't need that public. And because I need to let the program know that these are associated with the furniture class, I need to put furniture : in front of them. Okay, and because these are definitions, I don't have the semicolon, and I'm going to need an open and close bracket for each one. Okay, the reason I'm making them both at the same time is because set values will allow us to set the values, but we won't actually be able to see them because the data is now private. So floor area will let us use the data. Okay, so the function set values gets in three things. The first one is the type of furniture, so F type. Then we had the length and the width, so F length and F width. So I need to give them values so that I can use them in my function here. So the function set values is going to take those values in from the user and just assign them to the data that belongs to the class. So remember, because this is a member function, and maybe I should put a comment that these are class member functions, even though we can see that from the word furniture in front of them. Remember, class member functions can access the data in the class without having being sent it. So I can just say length equals F length. And what did I call? I called it type of furniture. Type of furniture equals F type, and width equals F width. Okay, so a couple of things to look at here. this is data entered by the user and sent to function. This is class data. So the class variable, it's going to get its value from whatever the user entered. And notice that I don't have to put anything in front of this. Because this is part of furniture, a member function of furniture, it can automatically access this data without it having been, declared anywhere else. So it can always access that data. Okay? And same with the floor area function. It's actually going to return a value. So I'm going to have to define something here that says float area, and then I would just say area equals length times width, and those are the data coming from the class, and I'm going to return area. Okay, so I've made my two member functions, and now I have to use them. So alright, so now you notice up here in case B where I had my CN item 1 type of furniture, it now says that furniture type of furniture is inaccessible. That's because if we go back up, we said that this data was now private. So it means that the main program cannot see this data anymore. So what I'm going to do instead, I still need my furniture item, or my furniture object, item 1, but I'm going to make a string for furniture type, and I'm going to make a float for furniture length and a float for furniture width. Now I don't really have, I could have had, I could have put the C out, C in down here. I could have put this in that function set values. But I wanted to keep the function more general. So the function doesn't know whether the values are coming from a user or being calculated and sent there or hard-coded or whatever. So I kept the C in and C out outside of that function. So I have to make some variables to hold the values that I'm going to get from the user. So because I can't access this data anymore, I can't directly change it. I'm going to save it in this variable, and then I'm going to ask the set values function to change it. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. So now I'm going to call that set values function. It has to be associated with a particular object of type furniture. So that's our item 1. I can say item1.setValues, and you notice that as soon as I type that bracket, it brings up that I'm expecting furniture type here, furniture length and width. So that tells me the order I have to enter these in. So furniture type, fern length, and fern width. So whatever I got from the user, I'm sending to this set values function. Okay, and I'm not going to know whether or not it worked unless I also run this floor area function. down here. So I'm going to run this function. So option C is calculate the total furniture floor area. For now, I'm just going to put the individual floor area in option C. Okay, so inside of option C, I'm going to say item. Well, that function returns a value, so I'm going to need to define a float, which is fern area. Okay, so I'm going to say fern area equals, it's getting its value from item 1 dot, item 1 dot floor area. And I can just select that. And I don't have to send floor area anything because it can already see the length and the width. And then I can see out the floor area just to know that it worked. And I need a system pause. So I'm going to run option B, and then I'm going to run option C. Okay, so I'm going to run option B, which says furniture type, chair, length 2, width 2. Okay, and now I've got my menu again, and I'm going to enter option C, and it says the floor area is 4. So I know it got that data of 2 and 2 because it's giving me back the right area. So I'm going to quit there. The other thing I'm going to add in is we wanted, if we scroll back down to our display menu, option C should really calculate the total furniture floor area, not just from one item. So let me make a variable at the top of my main program that is going to be total furniture area. Total furniture area. Okay. And I'm just going to copy that because I know I'm not going to want to retype that. Okay, so, and actually initially a lot of our variables are getting initialized from the user's entering the data, but total furniture area I want to start off at 0 when the program runs, and then anytime option C is called, it's going to add the floor area to the total. So I'm going to change this to say that total furniture area is equal to the previous value of total furniture area plus fern area. And then I'm going to print out the total furniture area. Okay, so I'm going to run option B. It's going to be a chair of 2 and 2. I'm going to run option C. It says the total furniture area is 4. If I run option C again, it's going to think I've entered another chair of type 2 and 2. And that might be a problem, but we'll deal with that problem later. But now it says the floor area is 8, which makes sense. So it keeps going up. Okay. And I'm going to quit. So in this program, this part of the program, what we were demonstrating was the two member class member functions that we made and we used. So here is where we're calling the class member functions, and you can tell that they belong to a class because it's not just the function. I've got this item 1 dot in front of it. Okay, and item 1, remember we declared item 1 as type furniture. Okay, so that was all part of the furniture class.